Hello, everybody. I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees, and if you guys are stopping by, this is the Fireside Yankees live show. We're going to be talking about spring training, the news regarding any updates on the Blake Snell front. We're going to talk about some of the news that came out after the game regarding Oswald Peraza and his shoulder tightness, and so much more. We are very excited to be back and doing live streams, and we're excited to have you guys join the conversation and tell us what you guys are feeling with the Yankees and so much more. There is plenty for us to talk about. There's plenty that's happened really since our last live stream. So, thank you guys again for stopping by. And with that being said, let's get started looking at the chat here, the live chat. We've got MLB Channel saying, "What's up?" David Lawrence saying, "Jones went 0 for 2, should have traded him. He's no good, lol, JK." David, I appreciate you stopping by. And LB Channel, I appreciate you stopping by as well. But we'll definitely talk about Spencer Jones and kind of the impressive showing he's had early on in spring training. Brandon Moore goes, "Ryan, watch Joey Caputo of The Shift 2. He is getting aggravated and annoyed with the break Snell, as I am too." Mentioned to Jason161 River Ave on the live chat this afternoon. First off, Brandon, thank you for stopping by. And secondly, the Blake Snell conversation is certainly, it's not annoying because of people talking about it. It's annoying because it's very obvious that reporters have kind of shifted towards, the Yankees are likely not going to end up with Blake Snell. And yet we have a piece coming out today regarding, Juan Soto endorsing it or whatever it may be. And I mean, look, I respect John Heyman. I respect all writers in this industry, but here's the big thing. We know that John Heyman and Scott Boras, they do a lot, they're kind of interlinked, if that's the best way to put it. And when Juan Soto, who's also Scott Boras' client, is coming out and saying, he wants Blake Snell, whose agent, again, is Scott Boras, to play on his team, you kind of snuff it out immediately as just fluff, right? And it's this obvious, like, we know what's going on here. We know this is a ploy to get, Blake Snell a little more, a little more of a market. And ultimately, we understand that this is a situation where, the Yankees obviously don't really have a financial incentive to bring in Blake Snell because of that 100% tax to their payroll. And I just don't believe the New York Yankees will be signing Blake Snell. But we'll talk about that and more. Number one Yanks fan says, "What's up? I hope you're having a good night, my man." Trevor, who's here every single time we stream. Trevor, thank you for stopping by. He says hello. Why can't Yankees offer a deferred contract? Well, here's the thing. Blake Snell would have to be willing to take a deferred contract. So, I'm not saying that the Yankees are infallible and that they're perfect and that they've never been wrong and they'll never have a bad evaluation. Nobody's perfect. Nobody will be perfect and nobody will always get it right. But if the Yankees haven't offered some sort of structure of a deferred contract, I would be shocked. The issue isn't that they don't like Blake Snell. I can tell you they very much like Blake Snell. This is not their first time trying to acquire Blake Snell in the last 365 days. They have tried to get Blake Snell in various other ways. They just don't think the financials really make sense. Hell, they made him an offer exceeding the $162 million offer that was made to Carlos Rodon when they signed him last year. So they clearly feel very serious about their belief that Blake Snell can help them. They just don't think the financials will make sense, and I would agree. So, when we look at kind of what the contract would be, let's say it is even a $20 million hit towards a luxury tax. That is still $40 million. That is a $20 million times 1.1, and you add that on to the $20 million. And if we want to do the math quickly, we have 20 times 1.1, and we end up with 22. That's $42 million towards a luxury tax. That's a pretty expensive cut. And for context, Shohei Ohtani is about $50 million towards the luxury tax. That is, that's talking the range we're talking. You're talking Blake Snell in the Shohei Ohtani range. It's surpassing Aaron Judge's luxury tax hit. I understand that luxury tax hit is spread across the entire roster. It is technically not just to Blake Snell. And if you were to trade Blake Snell, let's say, and that would obviously never happen, but if you were to sign Blake Snell and then trade him, you would only be trading $22 million of salary to another team. But the Yankees have the luxury tax situation. Whether it's fair or not that teams get penalized at that rate at the $300 million clip is a completely different conversation. If you feel like it's unfair, that's completely fine. That is your opinion. You are in your own right to have that opinion, but that is the reality of it. And the Yankees, they can't avoid that reality. David Lawrence goes, it'll be annoying if it doesn't happen, lol. Yeah, look, if Blake Snell signs with the Yankees, which again, I'm going to just say it's not going to happen. But if it were, which, lower percentage chance, I would say that, it wouldn't be as annoying. It'd be great. It'd be awesome. I'd feel sick about it, like in a good way, because, you look at where the Yankees would be and you would say, all right, that means the Yankees got him on an affordable deal. I don't think the New York Yankees, it just doesn't make much financial sense. If they were to get him, obviously I wouldn't be annoyed. So, yeah, I don't, it is annoying because I think I'm like very confident in saying it's not going to happen. Ace P says, yo, what up, dude? As much as I want the Yankees to sign Blake Snell, we are in big luxury tax problems and also in a financial crisis. I don't think we can sign him, but I would like to have him. Ace P, I 100% agree. I think the New York Yankees would be so much better with a guy like Blake Snell on their team, but I also understand the financials don't make sense. I also understand that the Yankees have a very expensive question to answer at the end of the season regarding Juan Soto. Whether we like it or not, Juan Soto's free agency will be the most important thing that happens for the Yankees next winter. I don't care who becomes available via trade. I don't care who becomes available in free agency. I think Gleyber is an incredibly important player, but he pales in comparison to the question that is, how long do the New York Yankees have Juan Soto for? And any expense you make right now affects your ability to bring back Juan Soto. Now, I don't think the Yankees would sign Blake Snell and jeopardize the chance to retain Juan Soto, but I do understand that that's going to play into the equation here. So, all of these factors kind of build into this. I don't think the New York Yankees will sign Blake Snell kind of situation. And yeah, I went to 2 of the Yankees open practices last week, and I spoke to Gleyber, got a lot of details, but long story short, that Gleyber's easy to talk to, and he said I was his guy. Gleyber is, for all intents and purposes, a phenomenal guy and a really good ball player and a phenomenal hitter. He is a lot of things. I just don't think the New York Yankees are going to keep him long-term. I don't think they can afford to do it without making some pretty important roster cuts in terms of finances. That would require trading some guys that I'm not necessarily sure they can move off of. Are they going to be able to move a DJ LeMahieu? And if they were, how much of that salary are they moving off of? Is it going to be enough for you to sign Gleyber? I don't know. How about Stanton? Are they going to be able to move off of the $22 million that Stanton counts towards in their luxury tax? I would say no. Barring a really good year, I would say no. That's still 3 years, of, $60-something million. What team is taking that luxury tax hit? What team can afford to take that luxury tax hit? I guess you could argue, would a Giancarlo Stanton in the open market at the age of 35, or entering his age 35 season, get a 3-year deal? I'd say no. So, I think that also plays into it. It's the contracts they have on the books. And then, of course, a guy like, Carlos Rodon, even if he pitches really well, the Yankees are going to trade him because you're going to wait for him to pitch well to trade him. It just, a lot of those financials don't really add up for them to bring back Gleyber, as much as I do love Gleyber Torres and think he helps this team. Zach Garbiano says, and I hope I did not butcher your name, Zach. If you can clarify if I did. Snell isn't coming. Ship has sailed onto the regular season. I would agree. Pack it up. The Red Sox got real catch-up onto 2025. The Boston Red Sox might get Jordan Montgomery, so at least they will be doing something, I guess. I don't know. I honestly like the team as is. A lot had to go right for us, but that's any team in any season. David, I agree. I like the Yankees roster right now. I'm actually very excited to see how Clark Schmidt kind of rebounds in his second year. If the velocity is up, I truly believe that profile is going to work. He'll have 4 above average pitches in a cutter, sweeper, curveball, and sinker. You kind of have a hard time projecting starters who have 4 above average pitches to not succeed. Now, obviously, nothing's a guarantee. His health isn't a guarantee. This is a guy who is, has had a lot of injuries. This is a guy who has dealt with stuff in the past and has missed significant time as a prospect because of it. Hell, when he was drafted while he was recovering from Tommy John surgery. So, health is a question mark here, but I'm not going to count him out. Nestor Cortez, I was very encouraged by the StatCast reads from Nestor Cortez. Everything pitch shape-wise looked brilliant. That was really encouraging. Rodon's obviously a question mark, but I was encouraged by his spring training outing. Garrett Cole, I have no questions about Garrett Cole. Stroman, he just has to be solid. I don't need him to be great. He just has to be solid, and I think that's why they signed him to that deal. But yeah, I like the rotation. I like the depth. I was really excited to see how Will Warren pitched today. We'll talk about him in a bit. But yeah, definitely really excited about the pitching. I've already moved past Blake Snell, to be honest. It's kind of a waste of time to talk about it, in my honest opinion. I agree. I kind of figured it would open with some Blake Snell conversation, and then we kind of just move past it, kind of focus on spring training, talk about some guys perform. So, that's kind of the way I'm going to try to nudge this conversation. But we'll see if I'm able to do that. But moving on a little bit, Richard C says, back with the lives. I missed this. Richard, I missed you, my man. Don't think I forgot about you, my dog. I hope you're doing well. Appreciate you stopping by, big dog. Hope you're having a good night. I got a streak of appearing in these streams on the line too, so that's another reason why I watch. That and the streams are always generational box office. Well, Trevor, this is a ringing endorsement of our streams, a ringing endorsement of the podcast. And if you guys enjoy Fireside Yankees, if you guys enjoy the podcast, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. You know of our next uploads. You know where I'm going live. You know about all this stuff. And of course, you guys can check out our various social media pages. We've got a Twitter, an Instagram, a TikTok, and a Facebook, all just absolute bangers on there. We crush it with the graphics. We crush it with the shorts. We crush it with all the content. We'll be clipping as many games as we can, at least during the regular season. I can guarantee you there will be clips. Spring training is a little bit weird because, it's spring training. There's not all the games are televised. But yeah, thank you so much, Trevor. I appreciate the kind words. And yeah, dude, I really appreciate it. The Snell rumors, to me, is indicative of a huge issue with Major League Baseball. Reporting isn't reporting, and just agents manipulating teams to get more money for them. I'm glad the Yankees are getting smarter. Look, man, I 100% agree that that's kind of the direction reporting is taken. I'm not saying this to blame reporters. They're not. Their job is to report on reliable information. And they're getting it. Like, if I got a text message from Scott Boras about something and he said I could go public with it, I'm going to talk about it. If somebody in the Yankee organization told me something and they said I could talk about it, but just, anonymously report it, I'm going to say something. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that the glutton of information out there, it's enticing to report it. We're talking about guys who, their lives depend on the ability to get news out and to get people to trust them with those news. And you're not always going to be right. You're going to be wrong sometimes. Nobody's infallible. Hell, Jeff Passan once reported that Michael Brantley was going to the Blue Jays. Completely wrong. Wasn't even not remotely true. He ended up signing with the Astros. That kind of stuff happens. So nobody's infallible. Even Passan was saying, Yankees, Snell makes the most sense. We know that Snell isn't going to the Yankees. So, it's one of those things where it's, nobody's infallible. Guys get information, gals get information, whoever it may be. I'm not saying guys are the only people who report. I'm just trying to throw out there that it's really hard to report. And really, it's a matter of, it's just that negotiations kind of happen through the media now. And you're right. Like it's one of those unfortunate situations where that's just how this business has gone. Why not a trade for Bieber or Dylan Cease? Offer Warren, Everson, and Peraza. So for Shane Bieber specifically, my understanding is that the Yankees would obviously be better with Shane Bieber. But let's look at this from the Guardians' perspective. The guy struck out 30+% of batters faced and was a consistent Cy Young candidate when he was sitting 93. And now he shows up to camp fresh on a drive line, throwing 93. You got to keep the guy. You got to hang on to him, see what value he builds up, because you're not getting ace value from him on the trade market. You are not getting Corbin Burns type return for him on the trade market. I don't know if you're even getting a Will Warren in a trade for Shane Bieber. So, if you're in that spot, if you're the Guardians, you've got to hang on to him, see if his value increases, or maybe a team blows him out of the water with an offer. But I don't think the New York Yankees and the Cleveland Guardians match up as well as we think. It really depends on what the Guardians think of Everson Pereira. And I can't guarantee you that they love him, right? Like, I don't know if we love him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Not that I don't like the guy. I mean, like, as a prospect, as a player, do we think he's going to be a good major league player? If we're all going to sit here in the chat and say, I'm not sure, why would the Guardians trade for him? You know what I mean? Like, they would like to get a player that helps them. Gone are the days of teams just trading players away just to get them off the roster, clear some money. The Guardians want to clear money. Don't get me wrong. They would like to open up $12 million, but they could also open up money at the deadline and then get players that help them and help them cut costs in the future, right? So look at it from the perspective of you might be saving, an extra $6 million now because if you trade them at the deadline, that's $6 million off your payroll. So you'd be only saving $6 million if you trade them now versus, all right, we got, our future outfielder. That's $6 million we don't have to spend in the outfield. We got a future starting pitcher. That's $6 million we don't have to pay to a guy in arbitration because we can trade them and we can just put this pre-arbitration starter on our rotation. This is an extremely small market team. This is a team that is very cheap. Every million they spend it's gold to them. So, they're going to be really anal about these kinds of things. They're going to really they're going to be every fine detail. They're going to maximize the value you can get for Shane Bieber. So that's the kind of front office they're dealing with. A very shrewd, a very diligent front office. That's the kind of business they're dealing with. And I think they would be very much like, we want Will Warren and we want Chase Hampton even, or else you're not getting Shane Bieber. And I think the Yankees are like, we're not making that trade. And that's a standoff probably there. As for Dylan Cease, obviously that report came out that the Yankees would prefer to trade for Dylan Cease instead of giving a contract to Blake Snell. And that makes sense from a financial standpoint. But I don't think that the White Sox are going to move off of the price tag of Spencer Jones, nor should they. And I also don't know if Dylan Cease, and I mean this respectfully, I don't know if Dylan Cease is an ace the way that Corbin Burns is an ace, the way that, even Blake Snell's an ace. Dylan Cease wasn't good last year. Like, Dylan Cease was objectively a below average starting pitcher last year. According to Pitching Plus, if you look at Pitching Plus, ERA, it all kind of lines up with a guy like Clark Schmidt. And I'm not saying that Dylan Cease is Clark Schmidt. I think Dylan Cease is better than Clark Schmidt. I'm just saying what I saw last year, and I look at projections, it's not looking good. It's looking like a good pitcher, not a great one. And, you're asking me to trade Spencer Jones. You're asking me to trade Chase Hampton because I'm telling you, Peraza, Warren, and Pereira are not getting that deal done. Peraza and Pereira are not tier 1 prospects, or I'm not even sure they're tier 2 prospects. Tier 1 prospects, Dominguez Jones. Tier 2 prospects, Wells, Hampton, a guy like maybe you group Warren in that group, Lelane maybe. Tier 3, you're talking Labar Jr. I don't even know if they're tier 3. So, it's really difficult for me to sit here and try to convince you guys the White Sox should take that offer. I got to look at it from their perspective too. I'm not going to just talk about this from the Yankee boy perspective. I got to look at it from both sides. So, I just don't think a trade really makes sense unless the Yankees are going to go out and make a big expense with their prospects and pay for a guy. Like, I don't think Dylan Cease is that guy. Maybe that's a hot take. I want to see it again. That's all. I've been bold and impossible prediction. Will Warren throws a no-hitter against a Boston Red Sox. Can't wait to see my hated Boston rival, Rob Marinaccio's face, seeing his Red Sox get no hit. I think Will Warren will not throw a no-hitter this year, but I do think he's a good pitcher. So there's that. But Brandon, I hope he throws a no-hitter against the Red Sox. That'd be peak of my life. I would be talking the talk away. You would see me on a stream, which, by the way, big announcement, doing post-game streams in the regular season, every single game. Barring something happening to me, we're going to be going live. We're going to be doing that. We'll bring Dylan on. We'll bring, I saw Bradley in the chat. Bradley, I'm going to be hitting you up, my guy. Aiden, Sam, all the guys. We'll mix and match, kind of figure that situation out. Guests, whatever we want to do. But there will be post-game lives this year for the regular season. Absolutely cannot miss this year. So make sure, if there's a Will Warren no-hitter, I promise you guys, I'll be dancing, sunglasses on. I won't talk about whatever I'll be consuming beforehand, but let's move on a little bit. GJS Sports Go. Do you think the Yankees should trade for Cease or Bieber? They would get better, but as I mentioned earlier, not sure it's going to line up price-wise for now. Maybe at the deadline, but not right now. I think it's possible to keep Gleyber and Soto, but that's just me. I think it's possible. I just don't think they're going to do it. I think there's a fundamental difference between Gleyber Torres makes this team better, and Gleyber Torres is a good player that would be you could build, a team around him at second base, and the Yankees are probably going to move on. Like they didn't extend him. The guy's basically like, hey, I'll take a hometown discount. Please keep me. And they're like, we're not even engaging with the guy on the extension conversation. I'm not saying Jordan Vivas is going to be the second baseman of the future and he's going to fix the Yankee franchise and you're going to forget about Gleyber Torres. But I am saying that I think there's a reason why they they just want to see what Vivas and Peraza do. And I don't think Peraza's dealing with that tight shoulder. It's not done for him, but it's looking pretty bad. So, Vivas is kind of the only guy I could see in their internal system that replaces Torres in 2025 if they were to not bring back Gleyber. Now, if they were to bring back Gleyber and they brought back Soto, I'd be so happy. Like, I would love that because I think Gleyber's a great player. I just don't think it's going to happen. No reason to trade Warren. He'll be a good pitcher one day. I agree. Only way he signed Gleyber is if he takes a massive pay cut or if he takes, let's say, a 7-year deal. You get him through his age. You get him for age 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34 seasons. Expires after the age 34 season. That's not bad. And he spread out the money. You really spread out the money. You go, here's $110 million for 7 years. I'm going to just do the math here. Madam Math was like that, guys. That's $15.7 million towards luxury tax. That's doable. That's very doable, and I think he'd consider doing it. I think extending Gleyber is greater than signing Snell, which is better than doing nothing. The Yankees can afford the financials. The real issue is the draft pick penalties. If we're done as a banner year, maybe you trade him. LeBroken, it really is the financials. We're talking about like if they were to pay Gleyber Torres, let's say it's $15.7 million as I outlined. That's an over $30 million expense towards your luxury tax. They're not doing that. They don't have to do that. They can wait till free agency. They can wait the year out and say, how does Zivas play? How does Peraza play? How does Torres play? And they can say, all right, based on those three variables, we'll make a decision. I don't think the decision to not pay Gleyber right now is bad. It could burn them. Maybe he ends up being significantly more valuable and you look like an idiot for not doing it at a price tag that was much lower. But that's a risk I'm willing to take. And that's a risk the Yankees have to be willing to take. And that's a risk I am willing to take. So I'm not going to kill the front office on it. I'm not going to kill the Yankees on it. And I'm just going to sit here and just make it very clear. It's a financial issue. It is a draft pick issue as well, but it's primarily a financial issue because they were willing to sign him. They're willing to sign him and they're willing to give up the 2nd and 5th round pick. They made him an offer. He rejected it. They were willing to lose it. I think it's strictly a financial thing. I have Will Warren winning Rookie of the Year, going 14-7. Again, I think somebody would have to get hurt. I think that's really the problem. Somebody would have to get hurt for that to happen. Now, is somebody going to get hurt? Probably at some point during the year. Is it going to happen now? Who knows? But I think you have to. And I also think there are a lot of really talented players in the American League. Like Jackson Holliday is going to win the Rookie of the Year. I'm just putting that out there. Barring an injury, that guy's unbelievable. That's the best prospect in baseball. Maybe White Langford's a little bit better. Maybe you like Caminero a little bit more. Maybe you like Churrillo a little bit more. Maybe you're a Dylan Cruz guy. But I think Jackson Holliday is winning AL Rookie of the Year. So I would not place a significant amount of money on Will Warren winning Rookie of the Year because I don't even know if he's going to pitch to open the year for the major league team. Shulman just wants to secure a job, and I hope the Yankees can move on from Snell. I think the Yankees have moved on from Snell. I just think that the only reason there's some talk is because they're like, hey, Snell, what's your price tag? Yeah, bye. You know what I mean? Like, they're just doing their due diligence. The Yankees have Donaldson. They're going to have Donaldson and Hicks contract coming off the books. Use this money to extend Torres. Right. But you also have to account for arbitration increases. Schmidt's going to be more expensive. Cortez is going to be more expensive. Trevino's going to be more expensive. Maybe they move on for Trevino, but again, you have to figure that out first. I'm trying to think of other guys arbitration eligible. There are a lot of relievers are going to have to replace too. Loaizaga, Ferguson, Holmes, and Canley are all free agents. You're going to have to replace them. I know that we know the Yankees can kind of just pump out relievers left and right. Find a guy who throws fucking 92, 95, 98, and he just strikes everybody out. But you need established guys as well. And I think, the Yankees are going to add a reliever or two this upcoming offseason, which I just report. Dominguez, Jones, Soto, Judge, 2025 and beyond possibly has me extremely excited for or hopeful for our future. Devin Del Monte, I've said this a couple of times, kind of talking just with my dad, and I think, there's always a valuable conversation you could have, with people that you just talk to about baseball, that you've grown up watching baseball with, even if it's not just social media or, I talk to people who are super into analytics or whatever. But sometimes that's a good conversation to have. And I was like, I don't know if the Yankee farm system, I think the Yankee farm system would have gotten more attention had the Yankees played well this past year. And I think that's true. The Yankee farm is very good. It's a top 10 farm universally. The Athletic, ESPN, Baseball America, Baseball Prospectus, all of them think the Yankees are a top 10 farm. And I would concur. So, I think that the future of their outfield is very strong. We're talking about Everson Pereira being expendable. I know Everson Pereira isn't a stud, but it's still a top 15 prospect in your organization who's an MLB-ready guy, and you just don't have a need for him. He does not need to be there. That's a good problem to have. So, obviously Stanton is part of that equation too. How he'll fit into the DH spot, how he'll evolve into that role, how he'll get better as he gets older. Those are all questions we have to ask ourselves. I just don't know what that situation looks like. I love Jones. I hope he pans out in center field. Great power, great potential. Obviously, Dominguez, a phenomenal hitter, but there are a lot of questions they're going to have to ask themselves, and it's going to be interesting to see them play out. Mitch Keller signed the extension since the last time we had a live, so Mitch Keller truth is have to sit down, and his career will regress because Pirates are awful with pitchers. Yeah, it is. It was a sad sight. I was very sad to see Mitch Keller, a great ball player, sign an extension with the Pirates and not become the next AJ Burnett, but better with the Yankees. It's very sad. It's a dark day for people like you and I, Trevor, who speak the truth about Mitch Keller and know he's a great ball player, but It is what it is. I have Juan Soto on my team. I'll live. LeBroken goes, I think if Boris gets really desperate to get Snell what he wants, we could see a Scherzer type deal with a ton of deferred money, but lower the effective AAV. Send him at 240, but 40% deferred through 2038. That's still not working. It's still not working. But I think there is a team that could use it, and I think that team will be the San Francisco Giants. I'm just going to give you guys that now. I think it'll be the Giants. Like Susan Solser, who I know she broke that report that Judge is going to go to the Giants, and I think they guys just all got deked. It is what it is. Like, I think that just happens. But Blake Snell, I mean, they have like multiple guys hurt. He just makes sense. Just makes so much sense. So, yeah. I have Soto hitting 46 home runs and 126 runs RBI. Or Aaron Judge hits 55 home runs and 130 RBI. Both co-MVP this season. If Judge and Soto put up those numbers, Judge is winning the AL MVP because he's playing center field and Soto's playing right field. So, I think the defensive value will I think it'll favor Judge if the offensive value favors Judge. Will Warren will have a better year than Bieber in 2024, to be honest. I think that's a very bold take. I think Bieber's going to have a really good year, so I'll still the brakes on that. 90% of the United States media is just high-level trolling. That's why I like Fireside Yankees. Gives us information with an educated opinion. Again, David, I appreciate the ringing, roaring applause. We try to be as good as we can with being transparent with information and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm not perfect. I'll definitely, there are times where I certainly am not perfect, and I don't want to paint myself as this perfect person and this, infallible report, whatever it may be. I'm not even a reporter. So, I do want to make sure that I emphasize that there are really good people that do really awesome work and just happen to be grouped in with reporting that has been shaky this offseason. I'm sure that, I'm sure they would vouch for me, and I'm certainly going to vouch for them. Shane Bieber on a 32-win team at the deadline Guardians team, on the 32-win at the trade deadline Guardians team, #WeMove. Look, I would love half a year Shane Bieber because I think that gives you an opportunity to take a look at him and say, is this the guy we want to pay long term? I think this is a player who can be, a really excellent pitcher in the middle of any rotation. If I'm a team, a team I think can really use him is a team like the Cubs. I think the Cubs would be excellent with Shane Bieber. I feel like you add him into that rotation. You go Imanaga, you go Steele, I guess Bieber, Imanaga. Good, really good top three. Like that, they could really run out a pretty dangerous rotation. I think they could really compete in the National League with that group. They also have, Tyon, old friend. So yeah. I think Shane Bieber kind of makes sense for an NL Central team. I don't know. Sandy, I love Sandy. Sandy, how's it going? Hello, Ryan. Hello, chat. Hope you're having a good night, Sandy. Hope you're doing well. Bradley, my guy. Fireside Yankees the best. So happy the streams are back. Bradley, my guy. I got to get you on one of these soon. My brother. You know that. I love you, bro. With that being said, guys are gonna be very excited for streams this year. You guys, we're gonna be bringing the energy all year this year. So I hope you guys are locked in, tapped in. NY Sports Hub, 21 ERA. Yeah. So that got back on Twitter. You can't 21 year, like you can't, I can't really, I saw like, it's almost been 3 years since that. And that's kind of crazy. Like I thought about that a little bit. Almost 3 years is kind of nuts. It does not feel like a 3-year situation. So, definitely it's nuts, man. Brain, time flies, man. Ivan Puente Roca goes, hey, Ryan, this is Juan Cabrera, and yes, they talked about how he doesn't separate his arms enough to hit. He is still making the same mistake. I think that you're going to see, Cabrera, I don't know if he'll ever be a great hitter or a good hitter again, like the way he was in 2022, where he had like a 110, 115 WRC plus somewhere in that range. I don't know if we're able to see that version of him again. I hope we do. I'm not going to rip him on his spring training results because we saw him ball out in spring training last year and then get cooked at the regular season. So, I hope he can figure it out. I hope he can just put the ball in the air consistently, pull the ball, play some defense, play all over the diamond. Maybe, we talk about third base, talk about second base. I hope he emerges as a strong infielder for this team because it would be incredibly fun if you get like a 2022 Oswaldo Cabrera playing third base. He has the arm for it. Got him at third, Volpe at short, Vivas at second, or, you could, theoretically, you could put Gleyber at second in that situation and keep him long term because you don't have to pay for third base anymore. You got maybe Rice at first. I don't know. You could really run a fun infield going forward. I hope the best for him. I love Cabrera. See him hitting the lefty against lefties. It broke my heart that he wasn't playing well last year. I'll have to take a deeper look at his swing analysis and stuff like that. But I can tell you he's been hard at work and he's made some strong changes. He's made some strong changes over the winter. So I'm very very encouraged and I'm hoping that those things translate. They want Jones for Cease. Hell no. I 100% agree. I have never been a proponent of I want to trade Spencer Jones for Dylan Cease. That still isn't the case for me now. So, I feel like the spring training stuff it's not like, I don't think the spring training results are, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, we should be looking at, all the spring training numbers and saying Spencer Jones, of course he shouldn't be traded. I just think people have gotten to see, oh my God, they get to see it with their eyes now. They get to go, this guy pops. This guy pops on your screen. This guy, you're like, oh my God, he's everywhere. He's big hits, big power. Hasn't swung and missed yet in spring training. You're kind of like, oh my gosh, this is a guy who could really be a contributor down the road. I think that's the important thing I just wanted to point out. And Sandy, I'm lockstep with you. I feel like, there are situations where you just got to understand, yeah, you have to pay Spencer Jones to get Dylan Cease. Yeah, you have to pay Spencer Jones to get Jesus Luzardo. I know that that's true. And if you want those deals to go through, you have to be willing to include them. But just because you have to include them to get a deal done doesn't mean that you should want that deal to happen. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of a thing I've tried to emphasize, kind of tiptoe that line. You know what I mean? But moving on a little bit here, LeBroken goes, Bieber will get packed in with Class A and cost an annoying amount. We forget how much the deadline jacks up pitcher trade value because of how much more projectable pitchers are in year than preseason. I agree. No, I think that's a very good point about pitcher value. Do I think they get lumped in together? Maybe. And if they were, Dodgers. The Dodgers make all the sense in the world. I mean, could you imagine you got Emmanuel Clase and Shane Bieber added to that team? They're perfect at that point, right? They're infallible on paper, but that's all on paper, right? They may be infallible on paper, but postseason, it's random. You've seen really good teams. You've seen the Dodgers get knocked out by teams that had no business knocking them out. So, I certainly think they could be packaged together, but if they were, I'd put my money on the Dodgers getting them. So, yeah. The Matt Blake Lab is generational. Who makes their professional debut throwing a sweeper 24 inches of horizontal break? They just find dudes, Trevor. They just find dudes. The Weck Dog, the War Wrecker, the Batter Wrecker, the Home Wrecker. I love this guy. War Wrecker. Communications have been open and fluid. We'll be hoping to bring him on sometime. TBA, TBD, whatever you want to call it. But, yeah. The Yankees spend money. It's just what they do. Too many questions in rotation. We need a Snell. Well, there's a difference between, there's a difference between spending money and saying the Yankees should run a luxury tax bill of like $380 million. There's a difference. They're not going to do the $380 million thing. That's not happening. So, yeah. Moving on a little bit. Peraza's on hug watch for sure. I think he's on hug watch, but I don't think he gets traded. I just don't think the value's going to make sense. The buzz around camp feels similar to what Jack Curry described in 1998. Yankees book when they came into 1998 with a mission after losing in 1997. Richard, if I see a Yankee team that wins the World Series and is as dominant as the 1998 Yankees, I will never need to watch another good Yankee team for the rest of my life. I'll be set for the rest of my life. I'll be good. Like I'll be fine. Like I'll live my life based off of that forever, for the rest of my life, for all of eternity. Rest of my life. Literally would just sit back and that would be the year. That would be the best year of my life. Nothing would come close to it. Maybe that makes me a psychopath. Maybe I should value things other than the Yankees. And I do, don't get me wrong. But yeah, Richard, this would be nothing short of the greatest year of my life if that happened. And of course we kept Soto. Peraza is on hug watch. Maybe, Zach, but again, I just don't know if it ends up being a situation where the Yankees find the value looking for. If he wants to be a generational third baseman, at least as a hitter, I think he profiles better for second base. So I think he'll be the second baseman if he were to become a starting player for this team. Maybe he plays third, though. Vivas is better than Sweeney. I like Sweeney as a prospect. I still like Sweeney as a prospect. I like the organization he's in. So kind of all the check boxes of like, he's in the Dodgers. He's on the Dodgers. Good contact skills. Raw power's there, just hasn't translated to game power. I like what he does. I'm just not all the way in. And, it's kind of the same thing with Vivas. Like the organization he's in, that he's with the Yankees, because I think the Yankees can get a lot out of him. Like the profile, good contact skills, still some questions about the power. So, like, they're very similar prospects in the sense of, like, risk factor. but I do think Vivas has a better chance of impact in the major league team. Financial flexibility can't be ignored. Not signing Snell and Glaber gives a lot of freedom for 2025. Alejandros, I agree. I think that's something people just ignore, man. They just ignore it. They just ignore it. If we lose Glaber, I'll be as upset as when we didn't sign Melky Cabrera, lol. I think, I'll wait and see to gauge how upset I am. It kind of depends on what he does and why we lost him. You're wrong. Austin Wells, Rookie of the Year. I would love this. I would love this so much. It's the year the Yankees need to win the World Series before a ladder rose their market share. If the Yankees aren't playing in the extremes with their payroll, the future TV money won't be what they want. I think the home opener for spring training kind of speaks differently. I was shaking before that game, and there was viewers everywhere. I think everybody was watching that game because Juan Soto was here. And I think that'll be the case if Juan Soto's here long term. Obviously, it won't have the same impact if he's here next year because it won't be the first game of Juan Soto, but it'll be Juan Soto, the long-term Yankee, the core of this team. It'll be different. So, I think that, there's still, I think the fact they have Juan Soto is really, that's the key for their finances. Ivan says, where'd you see that? I also did not see that he's his swing, something's wrong with it still. Vivas has been very solid, looks very solid for us. I think Peraza is finished. We never gave him a good chance. We'll wait and see. I think it's a long season. I'm not going to start talking about players and their, writing eulogies and spring training. Letting Glaber, an established top 10 second baseman and a top 5 hitting second baseman who isn't even in his prime yet, walk in free agency would be dumb. Plus, remember how long it took to replace Cano? We want to do that again. I mean, again, it depends, right? Like if Vivas is bad and Peraza is bad and Torres has a 135 WRC plus and is willing to stay on the team, for 7 years and that costs too much. Yeah, I mean, it would be dumb to let him go. But if Vivas comes up and he plays good and you're like, oh, well, you have a second baseman and you kind of need starting pitching or you need a third baseman or you need this or you need to pay Soto, whatever, maybe you need a first baseman, God knows what. You kind of have to just I think we need to stop assuming that it's going to be bad or good until it happens, until we understand what the outlook of this team looks like. So, yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important to wait and see what happens during the season, what the Yankees' needs become, and what they currently are. Let's see. I don't know how Warren will make the team out of camp. I don't think he will because he will not be in the bullpen. They're not going to make the team out of the bullpen. He will make the team in the rotation, and he can only make the team in the rotation if somebody gets hurt. So somebody will have to get hurt first. There's a lot of things have to go his way first. So yeah, I don't think that's going to happen just yet. Let's see. Is Cabrera done for? I don't know if he's even savable. Do we ruin Cabrera? Is he just lost his chance? Wait and see. I don't think the Yankees ruined him. I can tell you they didn't ask him to change his swing or anything. It just happened. So, yeah, I don't know how to tell you in any other way that I don't know. I don't know. I think that's kind of the big thing here. I don't know what the outlook for Cabrera looks like. I hope it's good because he could really help this team if it is. Hi, says Trevor to Sandy. Frank also goes, huge fan of you guys. Always drop great content. Snell to New York. The tax screws us financially, but so what? It's easy for us to say so what, but Hal's not going to say so what. He's going to say, hey, that's $80 million. That's $70 million. Not happening. Not a shot. And I think that's how that's going to go. Leon says, hi. Leon, hope you're having a good night. Sandy says hi to Trevor. And Trevor adds on, if Blake Snell signs the Yankees, that means Victoria Justice has agreed to go on a date with Trevor Alley, something that's very unlikely to happen, by the way. I said it already. I'll do a height reveal. I'll do measuring tape, all that shit, if he signs with us. Hey, Ryan, what up, chat? Listen at work. Let's go Yankees. John, appreciate you stopping by and listening at work. I appreciate you, my man. You're a frequent viewer, and I appreciate the love you show the channel. So thank you, my man. Dylan Poppin goes, what does the outfield look like once Dominguez is back? It depends. Is Alex Verdugo playing well? Is everybody healthy? If you're asking me, all right, let's paint two scenarios. Everybody's playing well and healthy. Then Dominguez is in AAA. If you're asking me, what if Stanton isn't playing well? Then you kind of shuffle Soto, Judge, and right field DH, and you put Dominguez in right, in center. You put Verdugo in left. Maybe you put Judge in center. I don't know. But yeah, I think Dominguez's availability this year, how many games he plays, depends on how bad or good or healthy the outfield is right now. People are going to think I'm crazy, but is Schmidt, he's that much better than Schmidt. He's better enough that he's in a different tier of pitcher and probably 2 tiers at the very least above, but not by enough for me to say that getting Dylan Cease is worth trading Spencer Jones. Is it worth trading Roderick Arias? I'd say probably, because I love Arias, but, I mean, Dylan Cease is good. I'm not saying Arias, Jones, a million guys, but when I trade like Arias one-on-one for Cease, absolutely. When I trade Arias and 2 other guys for Cease, again, absolutely. I just don't think, Arias still has monster potential too. So you kind of have to sit back and say, I just want to see how he looks. I don't know if he's that guy. So yeah, I think that I have to see him pitch first before I start, throwing him back in like this guy's special, this guy's, must get baller, special player, trade the farm for him kind of guy. He doesn't scream a trade for the farm for him kind of guy. And until I get indication that he is, I'm going to sit here and continue to say, kind of pump the brakes on Dylan Cease. I was checking out tapes of Peraza's swing last year and this year, and nothing has changed. Have you seen anything there? There was a mention of changes to his swing last season. Can't tell. They made some tweaks with that like toe tap thing last year. I don't know if it was really productive for him. He also mentioned just consistency in his mechanics, and he, the shape he's in is it looks like he's in better shape. It's one of those things where I just need, I need to see how he plays this year. I don't want the Yankees to, make a decision on Oswald Peraza yet, because I don't know if there's a reason to. He has an option. They can keep him, at the minor league level. They can keep him in AAA. They can let him play. And if, an injury arises and he comes up, he balls out, that's great. If they never need him, that's great. That means that the major league team is playing really well. There's just a lot of they don't need to force anything right now, and I don't want them to force a decision until, they have ample data to force a decision. But yeah, I didn't see anything different in the swing. I don't think that was something that they're going to change too much. We'll have to wait and see. Dodgers will lose to 84-win Colorado Rockies and the power friendship in the NLDS. Yeah, absolutely. Like Blake Stan said, Andrew Freeman trading for worse relievers is the worst GM of all time. You're not wrong. You are not wrong. So hopefully, it happens again. Yankee shopping Oswald Peraza. Who want him? 29 other MLB teams. 100% no. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think anybody wants him. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude to Oswald Peraza. I just don't think anybody wants him right now. Nick goes, hey, brother, hope all is well. Everything's good, Nick. Hope you're doing well, my man. Yankees should not wait on Snell. Boris using them as leverage, like an ex-girlfriend they should let go. Well, as somebody who has an ex-girlfriend and multiple, it is very hard to let go. But what I will point out is that Blake Snell and the Yankees, I don't think the Yankees are very much going to force themselves to do anything with Blake Snell. I think they're just kind of like, hey, how much does it cost to get you? It costs too much. Boom. Again, hey, how much does it cost for him? No? Oh well. Boom. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, they're just going to keep checking, and they're just going to keep going. Yeah, we're not going to pay you unless we have a reason to pay you. And it is what it is. So yeah. Oswaldo Cabrera and I spoke last week too. A good guy. We're vibing. Him and I are born days apart. That's crazy, dude. That's awesome. I love Cabrera. So I hope he falls out. There got to be a way to get Blake. He's right there. They got to pick him up. They don't have to pick him up. They do not. They don't. Why is it free agency so slow? So here's how to boil it down. All right. You want to get a return on investment on the player. And you might think that's on the field, but it's also in the ticket sales. The Giants, let's say, them and Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman and the Giants makes a lot of sense. But that's only a baseball sense, not a financial sense. You see, Matt Chapman's going to cost about $100 million to sign. He's not going to increase your ticket sales by $100 million. He's not going to increase your jersey sales by $100 million. And he's not going to increase your World Series odds, because no player really can do this by enough to say that you go from a team that has no chance to win the World Series or a very low chance to win the World Series to a team that has a very good chance relative to the field to win the World Series. And it's also baseball. So even if you have a good chance, you have like a 75% chance at best to not win the World Series. Like the Braves have the best World Series odds according to Fangraphs. They have a 75% chance to not fucking win at all. The Dodgers have like an 80% chance to not win the World Series. These are the kinds of things where it's like teams don't think financially it makes sense to pay these players. And it also, in their heads, when the superstar player becomes available, like a Juan Soto, like a Bryce Harper, like maybe they develop their own guy and they got to extend him, they have like 3 or 4 bullets of these big contracts. And not all those bullets are the same size. So, Aaron Judge, for example, Aaron Judge is not just, you look at the Aaron Judge who calls for Don contracts as the same bullet, right? It's not the same bullet, right? It costs so much more to have Aaron Judge. And honestly, having Aaron Judge is more important than having Matt Chapman and Gleyber Torres. Like, I think both those two are good players, but you would rather just have Aaron Judge. You have an open roster spot. It honestly costs you a little bit less, too. It might cost you equal amount. Let's say it costs you equal amount. Well, like an Aaron Judge. And Aaron Judge is an 8. He's the best hitter in baseball. I want that over those two guys. The value, and I'm going to make more money having Aaron Judge on my team than having Glaber and Chapman. So, when you look at that tier of like all-star caliber, good infielders versus superstar caliber players, you don't get the return on investment financially because they don't draw enough fans. You're not going to the game to see Matt Chapman. You're not doing that. You're not going to the game to see Blake Snell. I'm sorry. Nobody's doing that. You go to the game to see Garrett Cole. You go to the games to see Corbin Burns. You go to the games to see Shohei Ohtani. You go to games to see Aaron Judge. Guys like Juan Soto, stuff like that. You make the return on investment. It doesn't happen for these like good but not great players, and also those contracts rarely work out. Who are these like it doesn't really work out. You know that when Blake Snell's 36, he's not going to be very good. So it's just an amalgamation of baseball is not just about winning at this point, which is an unfortunate reality. Profit matters, and profit means a lot to these owners and teams, and they're going to factor that into any decision they make. And that's why free agency has moved so slow, because the primary objective is no longer about just winning. It's about making a profit, and it's unfortunate. As well, needs to be more like his 2022 self again in 2024. I would love that. Would love it. Buy or sell. Trent Grisham has a 4-WAR season. I'm going to sell. I don't think there's a play enough for that to happen, but I hope I can buy that. Dylan Cease is apparently an Astros and AL East teams minus the Yankees killer, so that's probably going to be a topic of conversation for the Yankees too. He should pitch well all year. He has to pitch well, and then I'll sit here and start entertaining the conversation of Dylan Cease. Sandy goes, Paul O'Neill analyzes hitting technique and talk about his mechanics. He should open up his arms more, too tight, close to his body. Again, I think that was last year. I remember seeing that last year, that Paul O'Neill analyzation. I don't know if that was a this year thing, because Paul O'Neill hasn't been in the booth all year this year, so it's not a this year thing. Do you think Spencer Jones makes the team in September? I'd say something bad kind of has to happen for that to happen, or maybe he just has an unbelievable year. You guys have to understand, Jason Dominguez came up last year because the team was bad. You kind of hope that isn't the case this year. If you look at your outfield and you look at your DH spot, let's look at the outfield options. Grisham, Verdugo, Soto, Judge, Dominguez, and Stan. It's 3 outfield spots to the DH spot. That's 4 spots. And there's a deadline. That means 2 of these guys have to be bad or not playable or hurt. You could say Grisham and Stanton feasibly could not be good enough or get hurt. And I'd hear you out there, but you would just align Verdugo, Dominguez, Judge, Soto. One of those 4 guys have to not ball out. One of those 4 guys have to get hurt. One of those 4 guys have to not be good enough. And that would be a concern if one of those 4 guys are not good enough. So, I think it's really important for us to talk about just how important it is to have established major league talent on a World Series contending team. Now, if Spencer Jones just plays so well, they have to call him up. That would be awesome. But I don't think that happens unless, number 1, he plays really well. But more importantly, number 2, the kind of the big thing here, unless the Yankees are really bad, or the Yankees are really mediocre, or the outfield's really bad, and they don't address at the deadline, and it would be a disaster. We're talking about a doomsday situation if we're talking about Jones being up, and I don't think people are recognizing that. So I wanted to point that out. I pointed out on the podcast, and of course, it's very unlikely Spencer Jones puts it all together before the end of the year. It takes a while. You know what I mean? It really does take a while. So, yeah, I think it's important to point that out. I hear you about the high price of Snell, but I'm curious what the other side of financials are. If the Yankees win the World Series, how much is that worth for sales, broadcast, any public estimation? Or are they going to make, here's really what you got to ask yourself. Is Blake Snell improving the Yankees World Series odds by a high enough percentage to justify signing him? That's a question you have to ask. How Brian Cashman is asking himself to present to Hal Steinbrenner. And is that increase worth $80 million? That's really the question you're asking yourself. Is it worth $80 million? If it's not worth $80 million, and remember, $80 million and potentially a little bit cutting into that Juan Soto money. What if, you could say all the opt-outs, whatever, what if he's bad? What if he's bad and opts in? What if he's bad and opts in and you can't pay Juan Soto? Like, that's a disaster. You lose all your money. Your money's gone. It's gone like this. Yankee fans aren't going to watch. You don't win the World Series because Snell was bad and Soto leaves. He goes to the Mets. Nobody watches Yankee baseball anymore. Nobody. That's a disaster. So you have to factor that into the financials as well. There's a lot that goes into this. I'm sure the Yankees have run this over way more times than I have. Way more times than we have. Way more times than anybody in the media has. And I'm pretty sure that looking at the results that Snell has had and saying, you're just going to get that outcome. We're looking at he's just going to increase your World Series odds, which he may, and by enough percentage to make it worth it, but he also might kill your ability to make money in the future and to compete in the future. That's kind of the question Yankees have to ask themselves. Is that worth $80 million? And I think their answer is no. Do you think Peraza will be in a package for a trade? Thoughts on the Snell and the Yankees thing? If he is in a package, I think he's a lower piece in the deal. And as it pertains to Snell and the Yankees, I don't think it's happening. George LeBar Jr., Augustin Ramirez, and Clayton Beeter for Josiah Gray, I would absolutely not do that deal. If I was the Yankees, I would not do it. If it was the Nationals, I think they'd do it in a heartbeat. I don't think Josiah Gray is very good. You will not be buying measuring tapes and measure yourself because it's way overdue. I know it's overdue. I just haven't had measuring tape. I'm going to be honest with you guys. All right, I highly recommend you or anyone else on FSY to come to open practice in Tampa next year. It's so much fun. Definitely going to be looking forward to it. Definitely going to look to do that next year. Ronald Rios is going to pop off this season and should be a top 5 org prospect at the end of the season. Hey, some outlets already have him top 5, and I don't doubt that he could be there. Tyler goes, yo, Tyler, hope you're having a good night. I appreciate you, my man. By the way, we'll be wrapping up in the next 9 minutes. So get your last questions in. Rapid fire those babies in. The Colorado Rockies won the World Series with the power of friendship. That would stun me. That would stun me. Ryan, you can't expect a different result doing the same thing. Please check Cabrera's hitting technique, and you will see he hasn't done any adjustment. He played winter ball in Venezuela and couldn't hit either. Look, I'll have to do a deep dive on his swing. I'm not saying I have. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm just saying I want to see how he plays in the regular season. That's all. I want to see how he plays in the regular season. I don't care about spring training. I don't care about I really don't care about spring training. I don't care about the Venezuela Winter League results. I just care that he feels like his swing is in the right place. And that's where my headspace is at. So, yeah, I don't want to seem dismissive. I don't want to seem like he's going to bounce back, but I'm just floating out there that he deserves the time before we say, all right, had a bad 2024. It's fucking over. So, yeah. Pumped about Will Warren. Absolutely. Same here. I thought he was very impressive. I thought he was very sharp. I thought he displayed glimpses of just the nasty stuff. The cutter looked good. The 4-seamer looked good. He looked good against lefties, and that really impressed me. I was very impressed by how he looked against lefties. Super impressed. Very happy with that. Hoping that continues to be a trend we see going forward. And, of course, I'm hoping that the Yankees can continue to unlock that potential because it is mesmerizing. He really has a lot that could go well for him if he continues to develop his pitch repertoire and his pitch mix. So, very excited there. But, get your following kind of those last questions. Oh, I like this one. Which Cody makes the roster low? None. Barring an injury right now, none. I'll say that Morris looks like he's being built up to start in AAA. I'd say the same for Poteet. I think Poteet comes up first. Morris might come up second. I think Morris is stretching him out as a starter. I don't know who's more exciting. They're kind of equal. They're kind of like okay fastball, solid sinker. Solid second fastball. Poteet as a sinker. Morris as a cutter. Good changeup. Questionable breaking ball. That's their profiles. You hope that they figure it out. Weaver also complicates things because like Luke Weaver's right there and he is on the Major League roster and he has a guaranteed Major League roster spot. Does not have minor league options and he'll be their sixth starter. Also be like that weird mechanical tweak. I don't know if you guys saw that. Basically killed his leg kick. That looks weird, but yeah. Poteet has an MLB deal, right? Yes, but he's not on the Major League roster. He's on a 40-man roster. He could end up being on their Major League roster, but he's on the 40-man. He does not need to start the season with the Major League team. Very important distinction to make. He has minor league options. Who's an underrated player who can make this team? I'm going to throw out there. You know what? Louis, Josh Rojas. I think Josh Rojas, not Josh, it's Josh, Jose Rojas, excuse me. I think Jose Rojas has an outside chance. The injury to Oswald Peraza is interesting. Rojas has really good game power. I think they brought him in for a reason. I think they like the skills he has. I think that they're hoping that the power translates. He's played all over the infield. He's kind of a stockier guy, not necessarily fast. But yeah, I think he's played all over the infield. I'm trying to look at let's see if there's any KBO fielding data. I guess there's not. Oh, wait, might be KBO fielding data somewhere here. There we go. All right. I guess did I get rid of it? Okay. Played a lot of outfield in the KBO, playing some infield back here. Played a lot of, second, first, third, never played shortstop, played some outfield. I think that Rojas could actually be a guy that gets major league. I think he gets major league looks maybe. I don't know. I'm kind of just throwing a random guy out there. So yeah, you said throw a random guy out there. I threw a random guy out there. We look like he's doing a town stop with the lack of a leg kick lull. It kind of looks like Yoshinobu Yamamoto's mechanics. Not saying he's going to be Yoshinobu Yamamoto. It's just kind of funny that it looks like that because we didn't sign him. Luke Weaver resurgence in 2024. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Who's most likely to first sign still in the free agent market? Snell? I'd say Snell. I think he goes to the Giants. My Juan Soto looks good tonight. Dude, I love Juan Soto. I look at him in the pinstripe sometimes. I'm just like, oh my God. Gorgeous. Beautiful sight. And by the way, Ryan, appreciate you being on the stream tonight. I like Weaver because he's always had a ton of potential. Seems like a Matt Blake special. They like him. If they like him, Ryan Garcia likes him. Does Luis Heel count? Because I think he can end up making the 26-man. I don't think he's I guess he counts. I didn't consider, I tried to go really obscure. I tried to go by a guy that, I haven't talked about. So, yeah, I would say, I think that Luis Heel could make the roster if injuries happen. I think he's a good pitcher. I think the Yankees want to stretch him out as a starter. I think ideally, he doesn't have to make the team on opening day because then he can get stretched out in AAA and kind of get comfortable starting again. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I trust Clark and Schmidt in the rotation. I trust Nestor a little bit more in terms of stuff, but in terms of durability, yeah, I'll say, yeah, I trust Clark a little bit more in terms of that regard. In a weird way, it's not weird. Don't get me wrong. The Red Sox here, 8 years, $200 million from Monty, and say, "Yep, catch up it is." I think they'll sign him at a much lower deal than he was projected to get. I think it'll be 5 years, $125 million. Me looking at Soto's looking good right now. Can't wait to see more Soto this year. We will crush Yankee Stadium with Aaron Judge. Let's go Yankees and Cole Cy Young winner again this year, and Rodon pitch as well. I hope you're right about all that stuff, Aiden. I really hope you're right about everything you just talked about. I am also extremely excited to see a player of Juan Soto's caliber on this roster alongside Aaron Judge. That dude's going to be phenomenal. Garrett Cole, obviously coming off Cy Young year. I'm really excited to see how this team puts together. They look focused. They look very focused. The energy, the drive, everything looks special right now. Very excited to see how that ends up, translating to potentially some big time wins for this team. So definitely excited there. And yeah. With that being said, we appreciate you guys stopping by, tuning in, being here tonight for this show. We hope to keep doing live streams, stuff of that nature, giving you guys some content, giving you guys the goods, giving you guys the works with that stuff. It really means a lot to me that you guys stick by and you guys have these conversations and you guys, check out our stuff and watch our podcasts. If you guys are not already subscribed, you guys do not check. If you guys aren't familiar, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. We have plenty of Yankees content. We do podcasts every day. We're doing post-game recaps, doing everything for you guys. So, we want you guys to be involved. We want you guys to be here. We want to get your insight. We want you guys to feel like you have a voice here. I really do appreciate you guys again stopping by. I'll answer a couple of these questions. I don't want to leave these questions hanging. So it'll help Glaber get better. I hope you're right. Also, James Rouse will be the Matt Blake of hitting depth. I love James Rouse. I think he has a really good presence in that locker room. Have a great night. I will absolutely have a very nice, get some sleep, kind of get locked and loaded for tomorrow. Tomorrow's an off day, so we'll see what the content schedule looks like there. Soto brings Snell here. I don't think Soto's bringing Snell here. I think it's just a Boris Puff piece. So I think Snell ends up going to the San Francisco Giants. That's where I'm at. And thank you guys again. I appreciate you guys so much for stopping by. Have a great rest of your night. Tomorrow's an off day for the Yankees. They'll play again Thursday. Clayton Beater gets to start against Miami Marlins. Night game at George M. Steinbrenner Field. Should be a great matchup. And we'll see you guys, of course, in the next one. I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees, signing off. Have a good night, everybody.